Mom and dad, you have 4 adult kids. Who was your favorite kid?
Well, our favorite third child is you, of course.
Aw, you're too sweet. No, but seriously, so you have 4 kids, one with type 1 diabetes, diagnosed in the 4th grade, me, who has spina bifida. What is one of the biggest lessons as a parent that you could not have learned any other way?
You forgot your brother.
With TBI.
Well, yeah, we can get into that later. But I didn't forget. I planned that question intentionally.
It was traumatic.
Yeah.
Here's something that I've shared with my friend Sandy. One of the things that I realized early on is that Dad deserved a chance to parent as much as I did.
Oh.
And he would go in our backyard, and we had the biggest tree swing and push you guys so high. And I wanted to go, no. And God kind of said, wait a minute, he's their dad and he deserves a chance to, parent. So that helped a lot that I had already given that up.
We didn't want to tell you what happened to you, Zach, but now you know.
Just dropped out of my head as a baby. Is that what you're trying to say?
It was the biggest tree swing push we'd ever had.
That's awesome. Dad, how about you?
I don't know. I don't think like that.
What is one of the biggest lessons as a parent that you could not have learned any other way?
You survive. When all the things that happen to you and the things that are just unbelievable, you still come out the other end and you survive. And kids actually get better and better after they get worse and worse.
I didn't have one of those worst phases though, huh?
Oh no. That was part of the tree swing experience.
Yeah. Okay, so can you just give everybody like you guys personally who you are and kind of what you're about, Mom?
Hi, I'm Steve.
Don't get in the camera shot. Oh my gosh.
I always tell people before we had our 4th child that I was a mother of 4. This one being my 4th one, but because he acts like the kids. So, but who am I? I'm a Christian. I'm a mom. I'm a teacher. I'm a Mimi.
You're almost a PhD.
I hope I'm a really good friend to friends and
good cook.
About that.
Nice.
Good answer. Dad?
Mean as a snake. It's only when you get out of line, though.
Yeah.
It's nothing I didn't deserve.
Yeah.
Or you didn't deserve.
Oh, right.
We were trying to keep that. You told us not to do that, right?
Do what?
Talk about things that we shouldn't talk about.
Yes. Don't embarrass me too much, guys. Please. No. Okay. So, but you're an engineer, right? You are you're retired, obviously.
I'm still working.
You're part-time and you go in whenever you want.
No, I go in the morning at 8:30.
Oh, okay.
5.
Okay, so but now you work with your dad's company.
Yeah, my dad started a company in his he got to be 50 and the company that he started, and he always had financing issues. And
pull that up. Pull this, like reach on the bottom and just push it. Yeah, there you go. Good. That's better. That's okay.
Zach, he's the engineer. We've got to talk him through this.
Yeah. Mom, get the mic closer to you, please. Yeah, thank you. Like pull it closer.
I did.
Yeah, even more. There you go. Good.
Okay. My dad always had financing issues, and when he got to be 50, the company that he founded was run by another guy, and they didn't get along, and they fired him. And so he started in his house in a location I can't disclose, and started unloading trucks by hand in his 50s.
Wow.
Till my mom found a company for him to move to.
Oh, wow.
Or cool. A building for him to move to.
Do you wanna shout out the company that you work with?
Allstrap.
There you go.
It's Allstrap. It's on the web at allstrap.com. We have all kinds of stuff in there and strapping things that you can buy, and we're really, really good at making them and using them.
I like it. All right.
Wait. You didn't hear the second part of it.
Go ahead.
Then I worked for a company for 22 years, big company. People are our most important asset. And when I got in my 50s, they canned me.
Well, and the whole engineering department.
Yeah. So you can expect that when you get to be 50, that things are going to get shaken up.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I'm 10 years away from that. So we'll
Try
see.
9.
Oh, ouch. I am not 41 yet, Mom. All right. So if you weren't here in the studio right now, where would you be?
In the car driving home.
That's a good little answer for an engineer.
Probably at one of the kids' basketball games today.
Grandkids.
Yeah.
Grandkids. Nice. And how many grandkids do you guys have?
7.
I was looking at him to see if he knew.
Mom looked at Dad to see if he knew. That's funny. Okay, and another interesting question. How introverted, extrovert are you all? Are you both? Mom?
I'm introverted until I'm not.
Yeah.
You know, in certain situations I'm very extroverted, but I would say I'm more introverted.
I like Dairy Queens.
What's that mean? Oh my gosh. Oh gosh, guys, this is gonna be a fun podcast. Let's go. Okay, so Dad, I would say you're more introverted too, right?
Right.
Yeah. They can't hear you when
Says
you,
a guy who
when you
nods
shake
his
your
head.
head.
When you say that.
Yeah. It's interesting, Mom, because I don't think most people would consider you an introvert, let's say. So you're a pretty outgoing and social person.
He's a great talker.
Yeah.
Great talker.
Yeah, it's interesting too, because Dad, I think if you just sat in your computer room for the day, you'd be the happiest person in the world.
That's right. Matt and I, all the way. You know that, Matt?
Yeah, you and Matt. Yep. And it's so funny that I have a best friend that's probably even more introverted than you.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah. Okay, what is one skill or trait that you could master or learn overnight if just boof, it was instilled in you?
Go ahead, Marilu.
No, you had a good one on the way down. What was it?
The only course I've ever flunked in my life is Russian in college.
Oh.
And that'd be really, really nice to be fluent in Russian.
Okay.
To say, hey, I know this. I know what you're talking about.
Yeah. Spasiba and привет.
Yeah, all I know is kapusta and borscht.
Yeah. Spasiba and привет are the only two that I know from my tennis travels. I learned that. So, Mom, how about you?
I would probably want to be a pianist.
Pianist. Interesting. Okay. Did you ever take
in
piano?
college? Yep.
Really?
We had a piano in the house.
Yep. My neighbor.
Oh, yeah, I knew that.
My neighbor next door growing up took piano lessons, and not many people did that kind of stuff. And I was always so jealous. And so when I went to college, I took piano.
Interesting.
Yep.
I don't think I knew that about you. One of my favorite things about the podcast is, like, I've had Matt and Ryan on, my two best friends, and I just learned so much about them. So we're gonna learn a lot more, I'm sure. So, okay.
Are we in a break for the commercial now?
We are not yet. And if you guys want to subscribe, that's a good break for the commercial. Subscribe, leave a comment, blah 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 blah. Anyway, in 3 words or less, how would you describe me?
Well, we had
just 3 words, not 3 words or less. 3 words.
We had your nephew over, Ben, this morning.
That's not 3 words.
And we said, how would you describe Uncle Zach? And he goes, wheelie crazy. And he goes, get it? He uses his wheels to get around. That wasn't even because he knew you did wheelie bad jokes.
Yeah.
So that was in 2 words.
That's awesome. Wheelie crazy. Okay. Dad?
You're ugly and your mama dresses you funny.
Also not 3 words, but
It's hyphenated.
yeah. All right. So that's awesome. Okay, so let's get into the theme podcast question. What keeps you rolling forward? Who wants to start? Dad, Mom, you start.
I started the last time.
I feel like you're gonna start a lot of these, by the way, for the record.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, you're the extrovert.
I mean, life.
Yeah.
You know, it's like family, friends. I tutor now that I'm retired, and that keeps me stimulated. Going to the gym, and you know, I try to balance my life so that I'm doing a little bit of this and a little bit of that, and I mean, I even get a Bible study in there, and you know, so it's.
Yeah.
I try to be. Stop it. I try to be
Stop
intentional.
breathing to the camera.
I try to be intentional about my life.
I was raising my hand to get called on.
Then go.
Go ahead.
Forgot what I was going to say.
I
remember. It beats the alternative.
Oh.
It beats the alternative. What keeps you rolling forward?
Yeah, being dead is the alternative.
Oh my gosh. Okay, interesting answer. You know,
that's why I raised my hand, because I knew you wanted
it. Yeah, right. Okay, and so actually this is maybe a presumptuous question, but an assumption, but I assume parenting gets overwhelming for you guys, and it has before.
Like last night.
Like last night.
Yeah, Ben's over, the grandkid's over, and
That's not parenting.
I go to bed, and the light's on at 10:30 at night, and we put him to bed at like 8:30.
Oh,
it's like, oh no. And then this morning I get up and it's before 7, and the light's back on again.
Whoa!
Like, oh no, this is really bad.
Yeah. So what? Go ahead, Mom. Are you gonna say?
Well, for me, I had this mothers group, and we got together once a month, and we did things like we read a book, and we had speakers, and we got together and shared strategies on child rearing. And like, I had a friend that said, well, I tell my kids if they're going to leave the toys around and they won't pick it up, I'm going to throw it away. And she really literally would throw it in the trash and haul it out. And it's like, oh my gosh, I don't think I could do that. But you know, it was a nice group of women to share ideas with. It was a night out. You know, I also was in a Bible study one time in the evening, and so that was a night out. You know, so there was, I think, having time away from the kids helps you regenerate.
Yeah. Can you pull that a little bit closer to you, please? Thank you. Okay, next one is what one value you were determined to not compromise on as parents?
Faith in Jesus.
Go ahead.
Yeah.
guys, one thing you will notice, and I expect this in advance, but my mom is going to do most of the talking. My dad will just nod and agree. Yes, dear, is a very common phrase I hear in the house.
It also could be that mom did the lion's share of taking you to the doctors and you know, therapy and you know, that kind of stuff, because I was a stay-at-home mom, so I had the time to do it.
Yeah, that's fair. Okay. Well, so the next topic that I want to get into is my birth story and some of the surgeries that I had. And so the first question for those that don't know, I have spina bifida. Can you, in your words, describe what spina bifida is, Dad?
Spina bifida is when in the 30th day or something, the neural tube that starts the foundational growth of the baby fails to close, and the nerves that are supposed to go down into the legs kind of escape out. Some of them escape out the back, and it puts all kinds of strange. The muscles are always contracting. If there's no opposite muscle to go against it, it pulls things around. So you had club feet because your nerves in your muscles in the inside worked and the muscles in the outside didn't work.
Mm.
And it just pulled your feet around.
Mm-hmm.
Like they're almost backwards. So it was like, huh. And when you came out, I checked all that stuff.
Mm.
You know, they popped out, you popped out. I looked, all hands, feet, everything's there, everything's right.
Mm.
And then they took you away. It's like, where'd he go? Well,
Yeah.
I don't know. They said, you go find him.
Well, we're going to get into that in 1 second, but Mom, do you have anything to add for what spina bifida is?
Well, when you were in kindergarten, we always believed in educating everybody to help them understand that you were paralyzed. And you're laughing at him.
Yeah.
And so
Dad was sleeping before the podcast as I was getting set up. So we might catch him sleeping during the podcast. We'll see.
So in kindergarten, I took in a little Brio train and set up the train tracks, and there was a bridge. You went up the hill and over the bridge, and I took the I don't know, the part the bridge.
The bridge?
The bridge was open, and so I took the bridge instead of having it connect for the train to be able to go around. I put the bridge up, and I said, "This is what's happened to Zach, is that things were there, but they don't all connect. So his train can't keep running around." And so then kids would come up and touch you and go, "Can you feel that? Can you feel that?"
Yeah. Yeah.
That was just such a hard concept for kids to understand.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. Let's do this. Walk us through the day you found out I had spina bifida.
Well, it was the day you were born, because back then they didn't do ultrasounds. Ultrasounds were kind of new on the horizon, and unless they thought there was something wrong, they didn't order ultrasounds. So, the day you were born, and Dad was up watching Ben-Hur all night, and I'd have a contraction. And I'm like, pay attention. So why don't you go ahead and tell your story then about?
Yeah, when you look at Dad, make sure you're.
I know.
You're over here.
As I said that, I thought, I should have pulled the mic around.
Yeah,
okay.
Thank you.
The TV was really entertaining, and Mary wasn't, because she'd go, and then she'd get me to pay attention. It's like, okay. And so then you popped out
All right.
Keep going, Steve.
and disappeared, and I had to go look for you. And I said, "Oh, look at that poor baby over there, and all by himself upside down."
Okay, go ahead.
And it's like, oh, there's something wrong with that kid's feet. Oh man.
You feel so.
Hey, wait a minute. It's like, wait a minute. I checked him all out. I know that's not our kid.
Interesting. And so how long after I was born did
2
they
hours.
take me away?
Oh, immediately. Immediately. They usually put you on the mother's stomach and you get to bond, and they immediately took you out. And I said, "Hey, where are you going with my baby?" And they said, "It's too cold in here. We've got to go warm him up." And, I've been through something traumatic giving childbirth. So it was like, okay,
Yeah.
And the nurses started trickling in. It's like, well, we kind of think there's something wrong with your baby. Well, it wasn't we think. There is definitely something wrong with your baby, but they were trying to break it to me little by little. And then your pediatrician usually comes to the hospital after you've had the baby.
Mm-hmm.
So 2 hours after you were born, she came in. Oh, gosh, this will make me cry. And she winced her head. And, you were the third child, so I knew her pretty well. And right then, my heart just dropped. It was like, what's going on, So.
And essentially, where the nerves came out of your back, I never saw it because they had it all covered up all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And it's an open wound.
Mm-hmm.
So they have to be real careful and not get germs in there, because that goes right straight into your nervous system.
Yeah, and it's a bubble of it's a bubble that kind of like is protruding out of your back. It's
I don't know if it's open or not. I would not think it wasn't. I would think it was,
sure
exposed to the air, it'd be getting germs.
Oh, I would think so too.
So they had it all taped up.
Yeah.
They had a new procedure, and they operate on you right away.
Yeah.
So Dad went to Children's with you, and before you left, the transport team came in with you and said, "Here, you need to hold him." Well, you're bandaged up about 10 inches around your stomach, and I'm thinking about all those nerve endings that they've got to put back together, and I didn't want to hold you because I didn't want to do any more damage. It's like, no, 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 just go operate. And they're like, no, you have to hold him. I'm like, okay. So Dad took off for Children's Hospital, and you can describe what happened there.
Well, you got disappeared into the bowels of the hospital, but my dad and mom showed up to kind of support me. It's like, hey, we're with you all the way. It's like, wow, it's nice to have family around you. Because I have no idea what's going on.
Yeah.
And, the only thing I'd ever heard about spina bifida is a preacher that said his kid came out with spina bifida, cried for 2 years solid, and then died.
Whoa.
That was my experience with spina bifida.
Whoa. Okay.
So my mom was down in Florida, so I was back at the hospital, and I wasn't ready to go down to Children's with you. And my gynecologist, my OBGYN, he wasn't the one that delivered you. Out of all the kids, that was the only one that he wasn't there for. And he came over and he climbed up in bed with me and gave me a big hug. It was really cute. Really neat.
Wow.
Yeah.
So, when you finally got the news that I had spina bifida, how did that go down?
Well, we were expecting a normal kid, right? And here's this kid with all these problems, and it's like, this isn't good. His feet are funny, his legs are funny, things, not, we don't know what's going on. And it's like, well, we've always had smart, athletic kids in our family, and now we got, what are we gonna do with this kid? And they were saying, hey, you're gonna have a bunch of operations. Like, well, can we choose not to? Should we choose not to?
Yeah.
So I don't know. It's a decision that we knew we were making by not making it, and they had new stuff out that took care of the hydrocephalus and all the other stuff that was going on.
Well, the hydrocephalus didn't come for a week later.
Yeah. Can you explain what hydrocephalus is for those that don't know?
Simple, water in the brain. The fluid builds up. It's not circulating like it's supposed to.
Inside, your brain's got a whole big channel on the inside, and the drain was plugged up. So they had to put a drain in your head.
And Dad, let's go back to when you were looking at the baby right after I was born. What did you realize when you were looking at that baby that it was me, or did you?
I was getting the idea.
Yeah.
It was like, I think this is our kid. That everything goes together, but they didn't say it. And there's no certainty there. It was like total conjecture. And sure enough, it was.
Yeah. And so I don't know, like even with me having spina bifida, I can't picture what would have gone through my head as soon as I found out. So like what were like some of the thoughts? Like were you worried? Were you scared? Were you like, what the heck? Were you mad? Like,
for me, I knew I was walking with the Lord, and I was not mad. I've never felt like we shouldn't have to suffer like other people suffer, but Zach, once you have a little baby in your arm, you were our little baby, our little child, and so it wasn't like, oh my gosh, it's this monster from
yeah.
from down under, So, and had they had ultrasounds, and we would have found out while you were in utero still, I'm glad I didn't, because I don't think I would have been ready. It was so much.
Surprise.
No, it's so much richer and easier to deal with a baby in your arms.
Really?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. It's still your baby. Yeah.
Todd, what was going on in your head when you found out?
Well, this is a lot of trouble, and it's not it's a problem. So, you know, do we really want to do all this trouble stuff?
Mm-hmm.
You mean, should you have the surgery? That's what you mean.
Yeah. So, and with the thing in my head going 2 years, crying for 2 years and then dying, it didn't sound like it was very appealing either. You know, it's like, you and me, Lord, what happened? You kind of let me down on that side, Lord. What's going on here? And it was out of our control, out of our total expectations.
Yeah.
So, Steve, I also like the connection between you and sports. Do you want to share that?
I did.
No, you didn't.
Yeah, I did.
No, you didn't.
I did. It was a one-liner back there.
Go and share that connection, please.
We'll share what we sent out on the birth announcements. Do you remember that? Okay.
Don't look at mom when you talk, please.
We had a great
Or
picture.
or go like this when you
Yeah.
look at her. Sorry.
We had a great picture of Dad looking into the bassinet. You were in intensive care nursery for a month. And
Other than that, you're normal.
Yeah.
but there was somebody else in the nursery that also had spina bifida, and their mom used to sit there in the rocking chair going, why is God doing this to us? And I'm like, we've got a baby. I mean, you know, and it was interesting because we had a stack of cards probably this big of, you know, and most of them were congratulations, but some of them were like, oh, I'm so sorry. And it's like, well, wait a minute, you know, this is still a big blessing in our lives. It's a different type of blessing than we were expecting, but it was still a blessing.
Yeah. Yeah, I am a blessing, guys. Remember that. But yeah, so one of the things that I've had a conversation with people who are religious is why they're disabled. So what is your answer to that?
Life happens. God's with you to walk through the good and the bad.
Okay. Dad, do you have a response?
It sure beats the alternative.
He's stuck on that one. You can tell who's getting record. You can tell who's getting up there in age.
Well,
where are we?
Into the mic. He said, "Where are we?" For those that didn't hear it. But okay, so Dad, talk real quick about your sports background and kind of like your whole family growing up with sports and being like huge jocks. And
well, my dad went to IU and he was captain of the team in University of Oregon
football team.
He played. He when he was at IU, his freshman year, he played both football and basketball, and they said they had to choose. So he chose football. And
in your sports career, you were an Ivy League sports guy.
And my dad played pro football for a year, and I played high school. I got a really unusual honor. I got All-Americans on offense and defense. And just us absolutely shocked. But our team was state championship team.
Behind the mic.
Hiding behind the mic.
There you go. And then point it up at you for me.
Okay.
No, go like this. Point it up. Tilt it up. Oh.
It's up.
Okay, cool. Yeah, and so just
so I wrestled. I did track. And I remember one of the classic things is the track coach came over and he said, Sikora, did you just hit Jeff Schmidt in the back with a shot put? Oh, is a problem, coach?
Like a little shot put ball, like those heavy balls?
Like an 8-pound steel ball. But he was pretty tough. He could take it. And I never managed, I made it through all the way to track and never ran a mile.
Okay.
How about that?
Wow.
For 3 years on the track team.
Wow. Okay. And so you come from, a jock family, and then you have a kid with spina bifida.
Yeah, and it didn't look good for you in track. I didn't think you were going to make very good track. So we had no idea about any of the wheelchair sports or any of the things that go on with that. We were just thinking about first of all, survival, and second of all, just, being able to do life's, things like walk around and think.
Yeah.
So we just didn't know. It was all a big, big question mark.
Yeah.
Something cute that Dad did the day you were born. He went home and Josh and Molly, your brother and sister, were there. He said, okay, Mom just had a baby and his feet are on backwards. So let's draw a baby with feet that are on backwards.
That's awesome. I wish you still had those.
Yeah,
photos. That'd be awesome.
Dad was asking if we still had those drawings. But
Well, so
probably in a pile someplace.
Yeah. Yeah. So talk to me about the days after I was born.
Well,
You were in the hospital and that was it. You were hiding out at the hospital with the other kid that had the same thing you did. And hey, who had the operation today? And what are we doing? What are we doing tomorrow?
Oh yeah. Yeah, you had I don't know, your orthopedic surgeon was quite funny. We were talking about your feet and he said, well, the easiest thing would be to just cut them off and have, prosthetics. And I'm like, whoa, but it probably was the easy. I mean, that's not what we did, but,
We're not sure if he was joking.
No, he wasn't
He
joking.
was serious.
I was there. And then you had a muscle imbalance that pulled your legs up. And so to stretch you out, they actually tied you down in the bassinet. That was hard to look. Yeah. To walk, because I never knew, what you were going to look like when I showed up at the hospital. And I did go home some. So, yeah. And because you had hydrocephalus, they had to measure how much fluid you were taking in. So I was nursing, but I had to pump and then give you a bottle and, but we had our church group, they had 6 weeks of meals coming in.
Wow.
I mean, 6 weeks of meals. And then out the wazoo, people that signed up to watch your older siblings and, so I could be at the hospital. I mean, it's just absolutely amazing.
Great group to know.
Yeah. How many people help when there's something like that going on in your life?
Yeah. When I broke my arm, you really, I really saw who was who was on my side and let's say who wasn't, right? Like people come out of the woodwork to help you out, and it's so cool when that happens. So do you can you elaborate on that a little bit more? And like, I don't know, I'm sure you're
You mean in Pittsburgh when you broke your arm?
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, you guys, when I broke my arm, I wasn't sure that I could drive because,
Right.
and so you guys drove together to come pick me up, and one of you drive my car back. So, I'm super grateful, and like I don't know, all my friends came over to visit me, and it was I mean, in the story. The story of me falling and then somebody who's walking home from the hospital comes and gets me up into the wheelchair and pushes me over a mile
That
to
was
the
phenomenal.
emergency room,
And stayed with you all
and
night.
stayed us. Yeah, it was till like 5, 6 o'clock in the morning. So, and so yeah, like it was a horrible experience breaking my arm, but like it's also like you really kind of see the good in people when stuff like that happens.
Oh,
But I
yeah.
imagine it's the same for when I was born.
For sure. At Children's Hospital, the social workers told us that they had more calls about how you were doing than any other kid they had ever had. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So,
Cool.
yep.
What were some of the concerns that you had early on that maybe didn't come true or maybe did come true?
Well, I suppose the biggest one is you were retarded and you couldn't walk.
Yeah.
It's like, oh no,
I don't ever remember anybody saying he might be retarded. Maybe.
with the hydrocephalus, I remember.
Well, learning disabilities, I think
Okay.
it's more
Yeah.
Yeah. But so anything else? Do you remember the doctor saying that I wouldn't walk?
Mhm.
Can you tell that story?
That's pretty much it. I mean, they said that as you got older, it would be hard to carry your body around. And in my head, I'm like, huh, well, we're going to show you. You know?
Strength to weight ratio changes and you get
Yeah.
get more. You could go from walking to parking.
Yeah.
But I remember
True.
you having to wear ankle foot orthosis, the AFOs, the heart rigid things that would keep your foot from flopping.
Yeah.
And at a point, you didn't want to walk anymore because it was just so hard.
Yeah.
And so I'd go out on rainy days with you and we'd go, oh, there's another puddle. Let's run over to that puddle. And you're like, okay, I'll do that. So sometimes you have to disguise how you're doing physical therapy and just kind of utilize what you have around.
Yeah. Yeah. There's a picture, and did you find that picture of me standing in the puddle?
No.
But there's a picture of me standing in the puddle, and
It's on that board.
Dad, talking to the
Zach
mic,
has it.
please.
Zach has it.
Your microphone's broken.
Okay, so the other question, so like early on when I was going through all these surgeries, and you have 2 kids at home, one's 4 years older than me, one's 5, Josh and Molly. How did you guys split roles and all that?
I mean, Zach, your first year, you had 5 surgeries, and I really felt that I needed to be at the hospital with you. And people from church and family came out of the woodwork. They're like, oh, I'll take them. I'll take them. And, people that I knew, some, were like watching the older kids, and it just worked. I mean, they even had people coming out of their way to pick Josh up to go to preschool. And, so it was, yeah, it's.
Dad, did you take time off of work?
I didn't have to very often. We had everything together.
That's awesome. Okay.
Yeah, they don't. I mean, now they have paternal leave, and they didn't have that back then. So,
interesting.
yeah.
Okay. What were you gonna say, Dad?
I knew we had to eat.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like,
yeah. You got to get that money.
get something.
Interesting. What? Well, so let me ask you this. For someone who's listening that maybe is going through something similar, looking back, what advice would you give them?
Not to baby them, not to smother them, not to keep them from following their desires. Fortunately, you were number 3, so you saw your athletic brother and sister doing all kinds of things, and you wanted to do it.
Yeah.
Had you had been our first child, we might have said, oh, no, you might get hurt. You can't do that. But we never had that philosophy with you. It's like a lot of it was innate inside of you, God-given, that you wanted to push yourself physically and try things athletically. And, it I don't know.
Limping and wearing stuff was just normal. Your world was just a normal world for you.
Yeah.
It was tough for other. As you look in, you go, man, that's got to be hard. But it's like, oh, that's what it is. It's like when you said, your mom said, well, when you get to heaven, you don't have to worry about crutches, and you went, I like my crutches.
Did I really?
Oh yeah, and I said, well, when you die, you can discuss that with God, whether you can bring your crutches to heaven or not. Because it was so much a part of you. That, it's like, oh, how do you get past that? But
yeah, interesting. What about advice to somebody listening from the early stages, like the first couple days, first couple weeks of me being born?
Well, you were taken care of in the ICU, so we I only went home to sleep, and the rest of the day I would be with you in ICU. So we'd have to gown up and have the hat on and the gloves on, and and we couldn't really take you out of the incubator and hold you, and so it was just different, real different for the first month.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm thinking like everybody who helped out, like there's probably a lot of people that are going through something like this and don't have the community and friends and family that you all did. So, what would you say to that person?
Well, Well, we did.
Go to church. Get a friends and family, and
there you go.
And you also have plenty to talk about with God. Hey, God, this isn't on the agenda. What is going on here? This is not. We're not planning on this. What's happening?
I also joined the Spina Bifida support group, and I found that sometimes you'd go to the doctors and you wouldn't get all the answers, and so then you'd network with parents, and it's like, oh, that's what that is, and you learn a lot from other parents.
Okay, interesting. What and you guys can kind of hash this out between you two, but what did the other parent carry that you didn't fully see at the time, like between you two?
Well,
Mary Lou did it all, and I had to go to work.
You had to go to work.
The one thing we disagreed on is I always felt that you needed somebody to advocate for you at the hospital, and
Advocate.
stand up for you, help make decisions, and decide whether what they're doing is really what I want them to be doing.
Oh,
And somebody that was your spokesman. And Dad's like, well, he's at the hospital, they'll take care of him. And I'm like, no, I'm going to be there. So like when you had your bladder augmentation and you were on morphine for a whole month, I was there with you, and they came in and they said, oh, we've got a nurse in training and she wants to bathe him. And I looked at them and I said, absolutely not.
really?
Oh yeah, heck yeah. Why do I want, you hadn't eaten for a whole month.
Yeah.
And why do I want somebody learning on you? I mean, there's times when you can do that, but to me it was like, no. So, and then a nurse comes in after you had that surgery and she said, okay, can you wiggle your toes? And I looked at her and I said, well, why don't you look at his chart and realize that he's paralyzed and he can't wiggle his toes?
Yeah. Do you guys, I don't even know if you were there for that, but when I was in a body cast, the nurse came in when I was in the hospital and was like, hey, how you doing? And she's like, can you wiggle your feet or your toes for me?
That might be the same story.
Oh, it might be, yeah.
Yeah, maybe I got the wrong surgery. I don't know, Zach.
Well, yeah. So yeah, it was. Can you wiggle your toes? I said, yeah. And then she's like, okay, do it. And I was like, I'm in a body cast. I can't reach down and wiggle my foot with my hand.
Oh.
So yeah, I don't know. I was in 6th grade. I just assumed everybody that came in knew that I was paralyzed.
Yeah. Well, I think they should have.
Yeah. Okay, so I've obviously had a ton of surgeries growing up. So namely a whole bunch more, but when I was 2 or younger, and then bladder augmentation, reconstructive hip surgery, Arnold Chiari. You guys can Google those if you actually care enough to look those up. But what stories do you remember from my surgery days?
Well, the Arnold Chiari, you were supposed to be in intensive care afterwards.
Yeah.
And you didn't. It was one of your easiest surgeries. And it was like, oh, thank you, God, because it was like they prepared us for a really, really tough week. And it wasn't at all.
So real quick, Arnold Chiari is they removed half of my first vertebrae, and it was obviously very close to my spinal cord, and I was very, very nervous about that, and it was probably the best surgery that I remember having. So it was scary, but the recovery was pretty quick.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you instantly got organization.
What do you mean?
You were totally disorganized before that because of the pressure on.
Did I really?
Oh yeah, it was during your science fair, 7th grade science fair. It was we waited till spring break to do that surgery, and after we saw how much your organization came back afterwards, we're like, oh, that was stupid to wait because it just affected you in school so much.
No. So when they say your upper brain does all your organization, it's right at the base of the skull is where the organization is, because we've seen it.
Yeah, and it is interesting because I would consider myself a fairly unorganized person, but I've learned a lot of skills along the way that when I want to be super organized, I can be. So
this wasn't learned. This was God gifted.
Yeah.
Because you were totally out of organization.
Interesting.
None.
Yeah.
He had none.
Yeah. Huh. Interesting.
That was stressful for both of us. Yeah.
Yeah. So there's another funny story that I like to tell from my surgeries, and it's when I was in the full body cast. I don't believe either of you two were in the room for this, correct?
Yeah, we were. We were walking in and out.
Walking in and out.
I could see what you were doing.
So can you set the scene for like, I was in the hospital bed and all that.
Yeah, we had rented a hospital bed for our family room. And the night before your surgery, I think Grandma Eleanor gave you a Nintendo 64, and you guys hadn't had one. So it was like, wow, but she figured if you're going to be in a body cast for 6 weeks and laying around, you may as well have something really cool to look forward to. So, and your older brother wanted to be playing with his friends, and you kept saying, Josh.
The Nintendo with his friend.
Yeah.
It was Mario Kart for those who.
Oh, was it? You know what game it was?
It was Mario Kart 64, and what happened was the round, like there's a race, and you usually race 4 times around the course or whatever, and so what would happen was I would get distracted doing something, and they would start the next round of races, and Josh would say, next round. And then the next round would come and go. And
you weren't playing any of them because he had foxed you out.
And they would start the next round before I'd noticed. And I'd be like, Josh, you didn't give me the controller. And he'd be like, oh yeah, sorry, next round.
Yeah,
so
and it was your game.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And it was my game. Grandma gave it to me because of my surgery. And, grateful for my grandma for being able to do that. So, anyway, do you want to continue from your perspective? What happened?
You were in a full body cast from your ankle up to your chest, and you're laying in bed. And by the way, your dad was incredibly creative because we had to switch you sides, and he would take bungee cords and put you up on your side because you'd get sores if you just only laid in one area. So we'd do that and put a bunch of pillows underneath you and stuff. But anyways, with Josh, you were in this bed and you kind of went like this and went like this. And I know I had to have the microphone come with me. And finally, you stretched out and went whack and turned off the Nintendo.
Yeah.
Yeah. Would you like to explain what the response was?
Yeah, now get the mic.
Right.
Pull the mic closer. There you go.
Okay.
And so, yeah, so imagine me being in a full body cast. My feet are on the bed. I've got my hands on the ground, and the Nintendo's just barely out of my reach. And so I had to, like, with all the weight of the body cast, I had to like pull myself across the ground while my feet were hanging hanging on the bed. And
well, you were hiding from Josh.
Well,
not yet,
because you knew.
Yeah.
You knew.
Well, so it was funny because 6th grade me was like, oh, I'm gonna turn it on and then quickly push myself up because I'm strong and I can get back up on this bed as soon as I do this. And so I got down, and Josh was like, Zach, what are you doing? And he's racing, so he can't stop really, right? And he sees my arm go up, and I hit the reset button on the Nintendo, and he got so mad.
And what did Nintendo do when you hit the reset button?
It stops his game.
It went dark, right?
It all went dark, yep. And so Josh gets up, picks me up, and it's like a pendulum, a reverse pendulum. He picks me up, throws me back on the bed, and I just go whoosh, and I land on the bed. My head hits the pillow, and thankfully it didn't hurt me or anything like that. But and of course, he's my older brother. I told on him instantly. And I don't know if there's any takeaway or anything after the fact that you guys want to share.
There's a part 2 to that, Steve. You can share it.
Mike.
Josh immediately starts playing the game again. And he and his friends are having a great time playing the game. And you look over, and this kid in a full body cast is slowly moving down toward the Nintendo as he goes. And just before he gets there, we cut him off and said, no, you can't do this again. You're gonna break something if he does that again.
Yeah. Yeah, well,
so then we made him share.
It was kind of like I didn't get hurt at all, and it was kind of fun. Josh flipping me over.
Dangerous, but fun.
There's something sick about that.
I mean, it's like going on a swing, right? Like swings are fun. It was the same concept.
We had a whole bunch of stuff that was bending inside the cast.
I mean, sure, I was like concerned something would break, but like after nothing happened, it was like, oh, that was kind of fun.
Yeah, you were still hiding from your brother, moving down.
By the way, Josh's friends were yelling, Sakura, what are you doing? Stop that.
Yeah.
They were freaking out that he was doing that to you.
Yeah, right. Can you pull that a little closer to you, please?
Brotherly love.
Thank you. Yeah, brotherly love. It was a fun time. Okay, it is time for Wheelie Bad Jokes, Mom's favorite segment.
Rate it right now. 0.
So I do want to say that this is as far as shorts go, this is one of my the most popular clips that I get, and I truly am grateful. Everyone likes these. These are all from most of my jokes are from Logan Lyle. Look him up on socials. He's great. But my joke, I want you to rate. And you rate it on a scale of 1 to 10 from good to bad to good, I guess. Okay. Are you ready for Wheelie Bad Jokes?
Yes. Woohoo.
So I try to always fit the theme of the person. And so this is like a husband and wife joke. You ready?
Ready.
My wife said I have 2 major faults. I don't listen, and something else. You didn't like that one? Dad, I thought you dad joke
I
king.
don't get it.
You don't get it? That makes it even funnier. Okay, I'm gonna say it again, and
no, don't say it.
Yeah, I'm gonna say it again. It's my wife said I have 2 major faults. I don't listen, and something else. Oh, you still don't get it, Dad.
Is it worth getting?
Yes, it totally is. The joke is you don't listen to your wife because you can't remember the second thing that she says that you have wrong with you.
You know, Zach, I did a hearing test on my wife because she was having trouble hearing me. And I went to the other side of the house and I said, and I had a friend with me. So I said, you know, I'm going to give her the hearing test. He said, okay, go ahead. I said, Mary Lou, can you hear this? Nothing. So I go halfway across the house. I'm a lot closer now. I go, Mary Lou, can you hear this? Nothing. I go right outside the bedroom where she's working in the bedroom. Mary Lou, can you hear this? Nothing. Got right up behind her and said, Mary Lou, can you hear this? She said, for the 4th time, I hear you just fine.
Is that a true? Oh, okay. I was gonna say you were telling it like it was
a really good joke, Zach.
I would rate that one an 8.
All right.
How would you rate? Because I actually thought that was, I don't know, a scenario. Is maybe stupid for me to think that, but how would you rate my joke?
It was a good try.
So 1.
Well, as soon as I get it, I suppose I'll rate it a lot higher.
You still don't get it after us explaining it. Okay, Mom, how would you rate it?
I don't know. I don't have a sense of humor, so I guess I'll give it a 5.
That's better than some people that have rated my jokes. So I appreciate it. So in the same vein of Wheelie Bad Jokes, Michael wanted me to ask you, what's the secret to marriage, Dad?
We go out twice. We go out twice a week to dinner to get a nice meal and have some fellowship. She goes out on Tuesday and I go out on Thursday.
I love it. I love it.
You know,
Is he allowed 2 jokes?
Yeah, you can do as many as you want.
I keep taking her out. We're always going out, but she keeps finding her way back.
Oh, that's hysterical. Okay. Well, I actually didn't know the answer when Mike said that. Said that I should ask you that, and I was a little like I thought about actually calling him before the podcast to get the answer to make sure it was okay for the podcast because I wasn't sure knowing you, Dad. Okay. So real quick, take a guess how long we've been going.
2 hours. Let's go. It's time to go home.
No, take an honest guess. Take an honest guess.
Okay, 2.5 hours.
Take an honest guess.
Hour and a half.
Hour and a half. You are the very first guest that have guessed more than what's the time has gone. I am baffled by this.
How fortunate of us.
We've been going 55 minutes.
Oh, okay.
So, did you guess more based on me telling you that?
Can you slow it down when you play it back?
I can. But
and you can stretch it out to 2 hours.
Yeah.
And then we're done.
Oh my gosh. Okay. Well, let's. So I guess. Do you have anything else that you want to share from my birth stories or surgeries specifically?
No, I had the gap story.
Okay, we'll get into that.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh, yeah, there was one surgery they gave you laughing gas before surgery, and they're taking you down the hall, and I kind of came out, and they're like, Mom, don't let them take me, and I'm like, oh, great.
Yeah. I think I was mad that I was having to go through this surgery.
Oh, I'm sure.
And I don't know for sure, but I think I might have thought at the time, like, all right, like, I don't know. Maybe I didn't. But I screamed as they were taking me to the OR, like, Mom, don't let them do this to me.
I think it was the drugs, that made you happy,
Yeah.
You were very silly when they'd come in and talk to you. And
do you remember Wireman?
Mm-mm.
They had me. This is when they did my Arnold Chiari. They had wires all over my head, and the nurse was like, Zach, you have wires sticking out of your head." I'm like, "Yeah," and they're like, "Look at all these wires hanging from it," and I'm like, I just look around and I pick up the wires and they're hanging on my arm, and I'm like, "Yeah," and then I shout, "I'm Wireman!"
No, I don't remember that. Wow.
Yeah. There were also, and you might not remember, but there were also surgeries where I stopped doing gas because I did grape flavored gas, and I hate grape flavor now. Like it makes me think of surgery as soon as I have the grape flavor. Now grapes themselves I'm fine with,
yeah,
but it's the grape flavoring.
Does that mean you won't drink wine?
But then the other interesting story from my surgeries is when they did do the gas. I do remember one time they started to put it on my face, and I went, and having a pool in our backyard, I could hold my breath for a very long time.
Wow.
And like, I don't know, I could hold my breath for over a minute, and they were like, "Zach, can you count backwards from 10?" And I was holding my breath like shaking my head no.
I'm surprised that you just didn't start doing that, huh?
And then I had to breathe at some point. So then I was like
conk.
Yeah, just conked right out. Yeah, those are the surgery stories that I remember. The worst one was the bladder augmentation, of course, but I had 2 tubes sticking out of my stomach, and yeah, it was bad. Not eating for that long, all that.
Yeah, the doctor came in after a month. I mean, he had been in, and he looked at you, and he looks really bad. He goes, I think I'm going to have him start eating.
Mm.
It's like, and after you started eating, you got better really quickly.
Mm. Okay, let's get into parenting philosophy. So, Mom, I have a quote that I share all the time on your on the podcast. So, we want to hear it from your mouth.
Well, if I can remember it. Well, you know, basically, after seeing so many parents down at the Spina Bifida clinic and they just baby their kids and do everything for them, and you know, it kind of dawned on me that it's like, you know, if I let you go and you break a bone, it's going to heal. But if I inhibit you from doing things, you know, it's going to break your spirit and that'll last a lifetime.
Yeah.
So,
So that came from seeing other parents
Mhm.
baby their kids.
Mhm.
Interesting. What made you think that them babying was the wrong way to go?
Because I saw them not being independent.
Ah, okay.
Because I felt like they were making their child more disabled than they really needed to be.
Mm,
You know,
yeah.
I mean, you know, from basketball, there was somebody that, well, I won't describe how he was how he was injured, but he wanted everybody to do everything for him.
Yeah.
And you know, I'm not sure I wouldn't want everybody to do everything for me too if I had all of a sudden become disabled. But that's in the long run, you know, that's not good for you.
Yeah. Pull it closer. Yeah. There you go. Yeah. So independence, and this is something that as I'm coaching now, it's something that I'm so big on. Like independence is key. Like no matter, you know, at one of the camps, I was like, all right, kids, we're about to go to lunch. The word of today is independence. So how can you do one extra thing that you normally don't do when you go to lunch? You're gonna go to lunch with your parents. Do they normally carry your plate? Can you maybe carry it on your lap?
Mhm.
Can you maybe help them out if you can't carry it on your lap? Can you grab the food and put it on the plate? So like, what step can you take just to get just a little bit more independent?
Mhm.
So and you guys, I think you say that it was God given, but I think a large part of it was you guys instilling that independence in me.
Hmm. Well, you have to understand that when you have a child that with a disability, you're automatically elevated to sainthood. So that's why you had parents that were saints. It's you know, I, I think people overlook the fact that you were our child.
Mm.
You know, we loved you and wanted the best for you, and you know, it's like, yeah, did we do things differently? Yes, but it was you were still our kid. You know, so.
Yeah. Uh, so from an independence standpoint, I you know, able-bodied or not, right? From an independence standpoint, they call them helicopter parents, right? Like for able-bodied kids or disabled kids, right?
Mhm.
But like, Dad, how did you deal with that as far as like coddling versus not?
I have a lot less of the.
Point it right at you.
I have a lot less of the.
No. Yeah, that's go ahead.
Can you hear me?
Stop.
Please.
Oh my gosh.
I'm not as nurturing as your mom is.
No,
though.
you're not.
It was a lot easier to say, do it yourself.
yeah. That's fair, and I think that perspective of that you had on me, treating me just like your other kids.
Right. Go see your mom about that.
yeah, right.
You want to go to White Castle? I'll go to White Castle with you, but that's it.
Yeah, White Castle. Oh, that was good stuff growing up. That and Dairy Queen on road trips.
Yeah.
What did that quote? If you break a bone, it'll heal. If you break their spirit, it'll paralyze them for a lifetime. Where did that quote? How did it like manifest in real life?
It freed us up.
Okay.
I mean, so that if you wanted to attempt to do something, for instance, you were at a friend's house when you were 4 or 5 and you were climbing a tree and he had the same level of disability as you and he came crutching in the house going, Mom, Zach's climbing the tree. And I'm like, oh, what's wrong with that? You know, it's like, it's a normal thing that a kid wants to do.
Yeah. And then a couple years later, I was climbing a tree and somebody stepped on my hand and I broke my collarbone. So maybe he was right.
Okay, I'll remember that for next year.
No. I definitely very much appreciate the independence and letting me flourish. It's led to me being independent today.
Yeah, there was one time after one of your surgeries, and you know, I'd have to lift you up. We had a full size van and move you into the van, and it was a lot of strain on my back. And finally, we got to a point where I had been doing it for a lot of times, and I said, Zach, I'm gonna have to have the handicap bus come and get you because I just can't do this anymore.
Oh.
And you're like, I can do it. And I'm like, you can?
Oh.
And so you started doing it. And then after I felt like you had healed enough, I said, okay, now you need to load your wheelchair. And you looked at me. Do you know what you said?
Yeah.
You were so lazy. And I said, one day you will thank me for this. So go ahead.
Hey, thanks, Mom. I appreciate it. Yeah, I do remember that. It was a day that I was like super tired and I wanted you, I didn't want to load my wheelchair in the car. And I was just like, come on, just you do it. Like, you can do it. And, you know, like that, like, I think humbled me too, right? Like, you guys didn't give me everything that I wanted when I wanted it, right?
Yeah.
Like, it was like, hey, no, like you have to do it, you know? That's a good story that we didn't even talk about before the podcast to tell. So that's good. Dad, what principles guided you when things were uncertain?
Do unto others as you'd have them do to you.
Mm.
You know, it's the same thing that Jesus tells you. Just do what's right and avoid what's wrong if you can, and you know, keep an eye on things so that they don't get out of control.
So this is the last question about the coddling, but you know, I think people maybe take that to heart, that verse to heart a little bit too much. Like, oh, I'm going to do everything for this person because I'm being a good person. And that's almost where coddling comes from, is you don't want to see your kids struggle. So where's that line?
Well, it's simple. Where the truth is, that's the main player here is, you know, with Christianity, you have, you know, Jesus says, I'm the way, the truth, and the life. You have the truth, and you've got the right answers, and the truth is what matches reality. And if you don't have something that in reality, you know, if you try and run your car without your spark plugs, guess what? Reality is going to step in and straighten you out if you're paying attention. And you do have to pay attention.
Yeah. Where did you two naturally agree or disagree? Whichever is easier to answer.
Well, I mean, raising you guys to know and love Jesus, we totally agreed on that. We totally agreed that we needed to be reading the Bible, and
we used to have some really knockdown dragouts on the way to church. I'd get in the cars. Where's all the kids? Barely want you out here. We're gonna be late. Let's get going. What thing's going on? And then we tried bribing everybody. Hey, if we get going, I'll buy donuts. You know, we'll have donuts. Listen, I'm ready. Where are you and the other 4 kids?
Yeah. I remember after church, you would give us $1 for whoever got to the car first.
Yep.
And I was really mad about that because I couldn't run as fast as everybody else.
Your wheelchair's faster than people walk.
This was when I was on crutches.
Yeah, he was.
Most of the time.
Problem, that's okay.
But do you know what you said? You said something along the lines of be smarter. Get smarter. Like think of it sooner than them. Sneak out. Like you don't have to be faster to get to the car first.
That's interesting. You remember that.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I was really irritated that, like, you know, in tennis, I get 2 bounces with able-bodied people, right? And like, you were like, no, like you're gonna figure it out and with what you have. So it was interesting. What about disagree? Where did you disagree? Pull it closer to you, Mom. No, you gotta.
She doesn't have anything to say.
There you go. There you go.
Yeah, she doesn't. She doesn't have anything to say. We never disagree.
I think we really did. I think that when
I can't wait for Josh, Molly, and Mike to watch this.
The most times we disagreed was once you guys all got to like middle school, high school.
Yeah.
Dad thought that he should still be able to spank you, and I didn't.
Oh, interesting.
So
my grandfather told my dad, who told me, he said, "You big man," he's in Ukrainian. He said, "You big man, you hit with hand, you break bones." He says, "Use belt."
Yeah.
And I thought, yeah, that's a great way of handling things.
So Dad,
it didn't work well with you.
Do you want to tell the story about spanking me?
No,
no. Okay.
I think you probably you go ahead. I mean, it's all in the head, right?
Yeah, we don't have that. We don't have to tell that story, but it is kind of a funny one that we think about. Where let me ask you this. What did you most respect about each other? How the other person parented?
Well, Mary Lou's a natural child manipulator. She gets in their heads, and she can get them to do just about everything, and it's so cool to watch. It's like, wow, I never thought they'd ever do that. And then Mary Lou's like, okay, we're gonna hold this little reward here, and
yeah,
she comes up with things that you'd never ever expect. With and the natural reward you'd never expect is like, you want a McDonald's? Yeah, I'll do anything for McDonald's.
Yeah.
Well, I remember one time in high school you were badgering me because I told you no. And I looked at you because you wouldn't stop, and I said, I'm going to go to my bedroom and I'm going to lock the door, and I'm not going to let you badger me because what you're doing to me is what you'll do to your wife someday. And nobody likes to be badgered. So I just removed myself from the situation.
Yeah.
Unexpected.
Yeah.
I think one of the things that we worked really well with was the timer, because it helped us stay calm. We'd say, all right, you have till the timer goes off to have this done or be dressed or be, whatever, your homework done or, whatever. Or like with homework, it's like, all right, how long is this going to take you to do? Okay, 30 minutes. You have the timer set.
Yeah.
Get it done in 30 minutes.
Yeah. Okay. Awesome. That's interesting. So just to my own kind of assessment, Dad is so I'll start with Mom. Mom is a big people person. And Dad is I've worked with him so much, guys, on communication and people and all that, and he's gotten a lot better over the years, but that's not his strong suit. Dad, though, is one of the smartest people I've ever met. He's got so many facts and knowledge, and it's interesting because like we've talked about it, but our views on health and nutrition and stuff like that have we've come to the same conclusions separately on a lot of different things, and it's been kind of cool. Who do you think? Which kid do you think is the most like you?
Michael's the most like me.
Yeah, Dad or Mom. You can answer who you think is most like Dad.
You. In some ways.
Yeah.
A lot of things, yeah.
Do you have any?
I don't like the question.
Okay. Wow. Ouch.
No,
that's the first guest that I've heard that from. No.
Sometimes it's uncomfortable to, try to tease out who is most like you.
Yeah, sure.
My other 3 kids are dumb, and this one kid has really, really got it.
I don't think that I don't like if you said another kid is
dumb.
like you, I wouldn't get offended by that. I wouldn't think the other kids would, but that's okay. We
I
can
would
move
think
on.
it would be somebody that's argumentative.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can't feel his feet.
I'm not argumentative. What are you talking about? Okay. What about so talk to me about the significance of me being the third child.
That's why you're the entertainer.
I
Entertain everybody.
I haven't heard you say that but before, that I'm the entertainer. I guess I do have a podcast, huh?
Yeah. Yeah.
You're the one that's got his face out there.
Yeah.
I think that it helped because Josh and Molly modeled what being athletic was.
Yeah.
And we were always at a sporting event, and you wanted to do it too.
Yeah.
And I think one of the most heart-wrenching things for me was in 4th grade, you joined intramural basketball after school. And it was a able-bodied league, and you would throw one crutch to the side and you would dribble down. And I think one of the things that was hard to get used to was your gait. I mean, I would go to the Spina Bifida clinic and I'd see all these people walking like this, and but when you learn to walk, Zach, it was just like such a precious thing. So it was like we no longer cared that your gait wasn't like a regular person's gait. It was like he's walking. So
Yeah.
But your wheelchair speed is faster than normal people walking.
Yeah.
So
Pick,
you
pick that mic up for me if you don't mind. Just a
you
little
always
bit.
had a problem.
Pick it up. Don't go towards the mic. Come on, pick it up.
And he's worried about the germs on the mic.
Yeah, right.
I'm putting the germs on the mic.
I think we win
There you
the
good.
contest for the most times you had to tell somebody what to do with their
I'll
mic.
tilt it down. Yeah.
You're not
No.
listening to me.
Well, I don't know. I appreciate it. Thank you, Dad. Okay. So significance of the.
There's something wrong with the microphone. It's making noise.
I love my parents.
Aren't you in control here? What's going on?
If my parents died, it was a mystery tomorrow. Anyway.
Wouldn't you be sad if we got in an automobile accident? boy?
Yeah, your conscience will bother you for at least 15 minutes.
Oh my gosh. No, but so I don't know that you fully answered the significance of having a third child.
Well, they also helped out. Like we were out west hiking, and Molly picked you up, and she took you around on her back on almost every trail. And I said,
And you're both about the same size.
Yeah.
It was amazing.
well, she was 4. She's 4 years older than you, but yeah. And she goes, well, Mom, I was just playing horsey.
Yeah. And so then you have a 4th kid. Talk to me about that.
Well, 10 years after you were born,
No.
I got pregnant with Michael. But you know what, Zach? Well, I was going to say we almost should talk about Josh first. But so I got pregnant with Michael, and I remember exactly where I was. I was doing dishes, and I started having these thoughts of, what if this child that is in my belly is more disabled than Zach? And by that, I mean, you've seen kids that have to be strapped in their chairs, and kids that can't transfer on their own or bathe on their own. And I thought, wait a minute, that thought can't be from God, because you were such a blessing in our lives. And so I stopped washing dishes, and I just said, in the name of Jesus, get behind me, Satan. I refuse to entertain this thought, because it's not from you, God. You want to give us joy and happiness, and you don't want us to dwell on these negative things. But I think the guilt trip came because I had said umpteen million times of, well, if I had to do it over again, and that's the only way to get Zach, I would do it all over again. And it's like, did I not mean that?
Interesting.
And I did. I meant it.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
I mean, would I rather have you be able-bodied? Heck yeah.
Yeah.
But-
Sure. Yeah. I mean, it's more of a struggle being disabled than able-bodied. So of course, and there's nothing wrong with like wanting your kid to be born healthy. And I think it's a natural
Of course.
natural thing for everybody to want to think about. So, but yeah, anyway.
Well, you remember going to see Leroy Jenkins?
Pivot on your left foot?
No. That was a tape we listened to.
Oh, okay.
Leroy Jenkins was a preacher, a faith healer up in Delaware. And I said, would I go see Jesus if he was around or would I not? So I thought, I'm going to go see Leroy Jenkins. And
with you.
Yeah. Yeah. And you were you had your AFOs on and you had crutches and all that stuff. And I carried you up there after the service because he goes around and picks on people and he didn't pick us. So he says, he sees us coming and what do you want me to do for you? And I said, I want you to pray for my son. And so he puts his hand on you and prays for you. And I leave and it's like, geez, he's still not walking. What's going on here? And I told my brother about it and he says, you idiot. I said, what? He says, you should ask him to get God to heal him. You just asked him to pray for him.
Oh.
You goofed up. It's like, oh, yeah, well, he did pray for you. And maybe that's one of the reasons that you made the last point in the petite as the tennis tournament. I don't know what it is, but there's probably a lot of good that came out of that I have no comprehension of.
Well, I mean, I certainly wouldn't be coaching wheelchair and adaptive tennis. Like, I mean, the Cincinnati adaptive sports community is amazing, and I want to be even more involved than I am now. So, yeah.
Well, you were prayed for.
Yeah.
Good Lord. He stepped in however he wanted to because I wasn't very specific.
Yeah. Mom, do you have anything else to add?
No.
Talk to me about Josh and diabetes. Josh is the first kid that you have had.
So Josh was in 3rd grade, which makes him 10. And so you were 5. And he'd get in the car. I'd pick him up from school and he goes, Mom, I always have to go to the bathroom and the teacher won't let me go to the bathroom. And then he was thirsty all the time. And then he was hungry all the time and some other things. And so I said to Dad, I said, okay, something's going on with Josh. He's not sick, but let me tell you all the symptoms I've seen. And Dad goes, that's type 1 diabetes. And this was on a Saturday.
Oh.
And back then it was before internet and we got out our medical book and he had every single symptoms. And we thought, okay, we're overreacting because God certainly wouldn't give us a child with Spina Bifida and type 1 diabetes. That's just too much for a family. So we went to church the next day and the Sunday school was in the basement and Josh walked up the steps and he goes, oh, that's so tiring walking up those steps. And the next day I had him pee in a cup, sent him to school, and I called my pediatrician. And as soon as I dialed the number, I started crying because I knew that I had to face what was coming. And so you and I went to the doctors and we sat there. I gave the urine to the nurse and they tested it. And the nurse comes. We didn't have an appointment. So all those people that wait for their doctors, it's because of people like me. But she said the doctor would like to talk to you. And I just started sobbing because they didn't have to tell me. I already knew, but I was in denial for, I don't know, 24 48 hours, something like that, before we found out. And she wanted me to go get Josh and take him right to the hospital. And I called Dad and I said, I can't do it. I can't show up at school and say, hey, Josh, let's go to the hospital, So, but I think one of the nurses took you when I was talking to the doctor. And, so people are always, I don't know, intuitive, kind, thoughtful, to try to help out in situations like that. And so it was during Cub Scout Pinewood Derby, and Josh hadn't started on his car yet, so we worked on it in the hospital, and the doctor allowed him to leave the hospital, go to the Pinewood Derby, and come back to the hospital. Well, would you know, his car came in like dead last.
Oh, no.
Like, come on, God, we've been at the hospital all week and he comes in last. But, there's situations where where being consistent with your kids really pays off. And we'd always counted or set the buzzer, and you guys knew there'd be consequences if you didn't do what you're supposed to do. And so they were coming in every hour taking Josh's blood.
Mm-hmm.
And he had just gotten to sleep, and they came in and woke him up to take his blood.
Mm.
And he got under the bed, and the nurse is like calling for backup. And I'm like, no, you can't do that, because I'm envisioning they're like going to hold him down and withdraw blood. And, that can't be fun. So I just said, Josh, you have to the count of 3 to get up on the bed. And I went, 1. He's still under, 2, and he's still under. And by the time I said 3, he was up on the bed. And I'm like, thank you, God, that I did something consistent in my life,
Wow.
Yeah. So it was not fun.
Yeah.
So, and as kids, you guys used to say, well, what would you rather have, spina bifida or type 1 diabetes? Because for Josh, like, he was having insulin reaction in high school, and his sugar was in his locker, which was upstairs, and it was lunchtime, and they weren't allowed in that hallway. But when you start going low, you get a little panicked, and this teacher's like, where are you going? Get down here. And Josh just plowed through, because he knew he had to get to the sugar before he passed out. And, so with type 1 diabetes, it's the hidden disability.
Yeah.
You have disabilities, but nobody knows it.
So that begs the question, what would you rather have, spina bifida or diabetes?
Neither. I refuse to answer that one.
I don't think you get a choice.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good answer.
You don't get a choice, yeah. Okay, so we brainstormed several stories before the podcast, and there's just some fun, some serious, a whole bunch of different stories that we have. So let's just get into it. Tell me, well, you kind of did. Do you have anything else to add about how I learned to walk? Actually, I guess the other question that I want to ask, how much later did I learn to walk?
Not much.
Okay.
I can't, I don't have it written down, so I don't know.
That's okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So do you have, as far as me learning to walk, I know you talked about the puddles, and anything else to share about that? Okay. Let's talk about the story about me being at the Gap and kids staring at me.
Well, so on TV, there was a commercial out for Children's Hospital, and this little girl that you ended up playing tennis with, she was on. And one of the things you have to get used to is having people stare at you.
Yeah.
And because you were walking with crutches, and people would stare, and you have to pick your head up and go, okay, of course they're going to stare. Look at how amazing he's doing. And so, I had that self-talk going on in my head for a long time. Both of us did.
Yeah.
And as a matter of fact, one time we were at a fast food place, and there was this guy with these growths all over his face, and Dad goes, ew, look at that guy. And I looked at him and I said, yeah. And he's going, ew, look at their son, I mean, you start realizing that, you've got to open up those doors so that people feel comfortable. And, one time, okay, so we were at the Gap, and you had just seen this commercial, and this girl's brother said, well, when people stare at my sister, I stand in front of her. So you'd already gotten that planted in your head. And we walk into the Gap, which is a pretty small store, and these kids were just watching you everywhere you went. And you came over to me and you said, Mom, stand in front of me. I don't want those kids to see me. And I looked at you and I said, Zach, I will never stand in front of you. I am so proud of what you do. You're like Superman on crutches. And that was it. As far as I know, you were comfortable then, with having people stare at you, I guess, And then there was one time that we went to go to swim lessons, and we walked in. Well, you rolled, I walked. You were in your little wheelchair then, and I'm seeing your fingers.
Oh, I should hide that. Sorry.
And everybody in the whole place stopped and stared at you. And I can't tell you how many times I just wanted to crawl in a hole, and it's like, no, this is our life now. This is just, it's natural for people to stop and stare. And, when you were in swim lessons, this mom said to me, you know what my child said when he saw your son wheel into the locker room? I said, what? He said, I want one of those.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you think that they're staring because you've got a disability, but he was staring because you had a cool wheelchair.
Mm.
So,
Yeah, it's interesting. I definitely 100% value that you did that because I have that today.
mhm,
Like, I view people staring as more of a curiosity.
mhm,
Like it's not someone being offensive,
mhm,
or I mean, somebody might think it's offensive to get stared at, but it's a curiosity thing, and like I have a unique situation that isn't seen every day, and people are curious
mhm,
about it, so they just get like enamored with the staring and
mhm.
and all that. So yeah.
So one other story that I thought about, that when we were at the restaurant, I said, there was something I wanted to add, and this is what it was. We went to SeaWorld for the day. And we had you in a stroller, but you also had your crutches, for when you wanted to get up and get closer to the scene, sit to the shows and stuff. And we went into I don't know, the whale show or whatever it was. And the seats were way at the top. And we looked at each other and said, oh my gosh, are we going to carry Zach all the way up there? Because it was way too far for you to walk. And so we both looked at each other and said, well, there's handicap seating right there. Why don't we take advantage of that and go sit in the handicap seating? You had pants on this day because I think it was a cooler day.
Yeah.
And these people behind us go, well, none of them look disabled. Wonder why they're sitting in this spot. And I just sat there so humiliated. It was like, seriously? So I finally turned around and I said, would you like me to pull my son's pants down so you can see what his legs look like? I mean, it was because we had never, ever done anything with handicap parking or anything like that.
Yeah.
So it was humbling.
Yeah. Dad, you were there for that, right?
Yes.
Do you have anything? Do you have anything?
She took care of everything. The people didn't say anything after that.
Yeah.
That's good. Okay. So I fought a hornet's nest with just my crutches.
Stupid.
Can you tell that story?
Do you know it? Steve?
Yeah, Josh was outside and he was always torturing this yellow jackets, this hollow tree that had yellow jackets inside. And he'd go out and beat on the tree and they would come out and he'd run off. And then the next time they'd come out a little faster and then a little faster. And he was always just a couple of steps quicker than the yellow jackets, and sacked his head. I can do this. So he goes out there, and we're not really paying attention to Zach. He's just doing his own thing, and he hits the tree once.
I was with Josh, by the way.
No, you weren't.
Yeah.
Josh
went off
saved him.
by yourself.
No, Josh saved
did it
him.
with Josh.
Josh
worry
was
about it.
around. You went over and hit the tree, and he's gone, and you're there, and you got 56 56 bee
We
stings.
don't know how many.
And Josh ran out from wherever he had taken off to and grabbed you and brought you in the house. And you were like, you were trying to swat him, which doesn't work very well because they just get more and more mad. And so he brought you in the house, and you had all these bumps all over, and I think all you want to do is sleep. You think, I want to go to sleep. It's like, we're like, no, tough it out. You can make it.
Weren't you at work at that time?
No.
You weren't? Okay.
No, I was home.
Okay. I thought that was on a day that you were at work, and I came home, I thought, after I had woken up from sleeping. Like I was on the porch. I remember being on the porch couch, and I didn't think you were home. But anyway, Mom, can you tell the story?
Thinking about much anything.
Yeah.
56 bee stings.
Can you tell the story from how you remember it?
I thought Josh rushed in, pulled you out.
Yeah.
And I do remember you falling asleep out on the porch. And looking back, I know that I should have taken you to the doctors. That was pretty stupid on my part, but
Yeah.
you made it.
So the details that I remember that weren't quite said were him and Michael, his friend Michael, were out there, and I wanted to do it. I kept begging you to go out there, and you finally were like, okay, let's wait for the bees to die down, and then you can go out there. And I don't think it was necessarily anticipated that I was gonna mess with the hornet's nest or anything like that. It was hornets, right? Not bees.
Yellow jacket.
Oh no,
Yellow
bees,
jacket.
yeah.
Okay. So then I got out there and I actually hit it with my crutch and then ran. And then like one or two came out and that was it. And so then I went back and I went and I spit on the hole in the tree that the bees were coming out of.
See, I told you, Steve, we raised the smart one.
Yeah, let's spit in a tree that has hornets coming out of the hole.
Yep, smart one. Well,
and how far did you get, Zach?
So here's what happened. I did not run because this was when I was standing on crutches, and when they came out, I was like, I had this fear that they were gonna sting my hands if I put my hands down on the crutch handles. And so it was logical when I was in 3rd grade at the time to just swat at them. And I heard Josh in the background saying, "Run, Zach, run." And I was just sitting there swatting them.
Yeah, I think I remember that. Yeah.
And I also didn't want to say I can't because I had all these these yellow jackets flying around me, and I didn't want one to fly in my mouth. So I think, and Josh, you could let us know, but I think what I did was I was like, I can't, and like kept my mouth shut as I yelled that. And Josh was long gone. He was next to me, is how I'm recounting it. And he was next to me, and as soon as the yellow jackets came out, he ran, and I just stayed swatting at him. And I don't think it was 50 stings. It's still a lot. I thought it was between 25 and 30. Yeah,
no, she counted them.
I know, but I remember the count to be less than
I
that.
don't
I
have no recollection of it.
Yeah.
And what
where did you end up? Weren't you curled up on the ground and Josh ran through this swarm of yellow jackets, picked you up off the ground and brought you inside?
Well,
drug you away.
My recollection was I was still standing and I was just standing swatting them, and I feel Josh's arms come under my arms and pull me away, and he took me to the back patio. And I look down, and there's like 50 hornets
still
hanging from their stinger on my shirt. And you had to get, and again, I might be recalling this correctly, but how I remember it is you had to get like this tiny broom and brush them off of my shirt, and they were in my hair. I even had a bee sting on my ear. So that's how I remember it. And then I got really tired after that, and I was on the back porch, and the way I remember it is it was like 3 or 4, and you hadn't gotten home from work, and once I woke up, that's when you were home. So I don't know. That's my recollection. I'm curious what Josh's recollection is of it, but. Anyway, that's the Hornet story. Here's another one that I think is kind of funny is the magnet story.
Oh, I thought you were going to tell the sledding.
The magnet story. So I'll frame it. So there's this big U-shaped magnet, and when I was in elementary school, I was known for being the strongest kid in the class because like I'd arm wrestle people, and because I use crutches all the time, I could arm wrestle almost anybody and beat them. And so I don't know, pretending that I was like super strong by putting this magnet on the fridge and then pulling it off.
It was on the furnace
It
downstairs.
was on the furnace. Oh, interesting.
It was way too big to be a fridge magnet.
I knew it was on the.
It was an industrial magnet I brought home from the scrapyard.
Yeah. And I knew it was on something in the basement, but for some reason I thought there was a fridge in the basement. But okay, interesting, a furnace. Anyway, so I'm sitting there pulling it off and on, and it's like I'm using all my muscles and I'm hitting my chest with it, and then mom is in it down there, like I think you're ironing or
Sewing
or something like that, and then I put the magnet right here, and I pulled it and I went boom. I just smacked myself in the forehead with it. And it's a U-shaped magnet, and it's jagged. Basically, the edge is just a 90-degree angle, and it's like metal. And I hit my forehead. And for those who don't like graphics, tune out for the next couple seconds. But there, all of a sudden, there was blood gushing like a faucet out of my head.
Because that's what happens when you puncture your forehead.
Yeah, and it didn't hurt. It hurt, but like, so I casually told my mom.
Very casually.
I said, "Mom, I'm hurt." And
oh no, you said, "Mom, I'm bleeding."
No. I said I'm hurt first.
Okay.
And you said, "All right, that's fine." And you didn't even look over. And then I said, "Mom, I'm bleeding." And you take it from here, Mom.
Well, I turned around and you've got a gusher on your forehead, and I just grabbed, I don't know, some laundry or something and applied pressure to get it to stop.
Mm-hmm. And what'd you say?
I don't know. What did I say?
My recollection is you screamed, "Steve!
Oh, I'm sure I did.
Jack needs stitches!"
Yeah, I'm sure I did. One of the things I always did is prayed that if any of you guys had an emergency, that Dad would be home. And every single time he was.
Whoa.
Yeah, every single time.
Wow, that's cool.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
No, I'm just kidding. We were talking before the podcast about like filler words that I use, or like just I say interesting a lot, I guess, and that's something that I can change up and use different words. So that's an inside joke there. But and then and so I didn't get stitches.
I don't think so.
No. Dad put a butterfly Band-Aid on my on it, and it's fine. I still have a mark there to this day on my forehead. So it's very not noticeable. So unless never mind. I was gonna make a dad joke, but so okay, next story is until third grade, I grew up with a sledding hill. And I think another interesting thing to point out is it was a 2-story house, and all the bedrooms were on the second floor. And so me being on crutches was pretty critical. And now I use a wheelchair, right? So anyway,
but we never thought that was an issue.
Yeah.
Ever.
Right. No,
Yeah.
I don't remember steps ever being an issue.
Right.
You had a good strength to weight ratio.
Well, we used to go sledding, and I would carry Zach up on my back, and it was a pretty steep sledding hill in our backyard. And finally one day I said, "Zach, I just can't do it anymore." He goes, "Okay." And so you hop on the sled with your crutches and crutch up and bring your sled up, and I'm like, "Wow, that's pretty nice. I don't have to do that anymore." I couldn't. I got to the point where you were just too big to, do it anymore. So, but I think the one story you wanted me to tell.
Wait, can I, before you go on to that, can I ask, so we talked about coddling earlier, and you've told a couple stories where I've been like, okay, do you think that maybe it was something that it was a slight coddling, or was it just you were used to carrying me up and that's what you did from the start, or what?
Well, what do you think, Steve? It was such a steep hill. I mean, possibly it was coddling, but I I don't know how you would have gotten up that hill, but
Yeah.
you know. What do you think, Steve?
You didn't want to go sideways with the lawnmower on that hill because you didn't know if it's going to roll or not.
Yeah.
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 It was definitely it was an exercise hill.
Yeah.
So what? But obviously, if I could have done it, I could have done it earlier
Sure.
as well.
Sure.
And so I was just curious, like the coddling conversation, or
That's
just maybe a habit, or what do you think?
I think that when you were able to do it, you did it.
Okay.
Yeah. So,
Interesting. Okay. Tell the sledding story.
No, yeah. So, Dad decided to ice over the hill, and he left the hose on all night. So it was a solid
my
ice.
gosh.
Mhm. You didn't know that?
Can I tell you? Every time I tell this story, I thought there was a winter where it got above 30 degrees, melted a little bit, and then just iced over completely. I don't remember that was yeah, interesting. Okay, keep going.
So Josh went down the hill, and I don't remember this part. Steve, why don't you tell about what happened with Josh?
He slammed into a tree.
You got to get closer to the mic.
He slammed into the trees at the bottom of the hill that were just before the creek, and he sprained his ankle.
Yeah. So for visualization, there's the hill. There's I don't know what 50 feet of flat, 100 feet of flat.
Yeah.
And then there's trees, but
Before the creek.
yeah. And then the trees, there was actually a path that you could theoretically, if you got to the trees, you could kind of maneuver your sled through the path. And then if you didn't stop if you didn't stop in that path, there's a creek at the very end, and you could go in that creek. And some people did.
Did you?
I think I made it to the creek a couple times. That was kind of like the goal back then was to see if you can get through the path and get to the creek. And
But this time it was icy.
Yeah.
And you could put your hand out and try and steer or stop, and it was totally ineffective.
Yeah.
And he smashed in the tree at the end, sprained his ankle. Mary Lou took him to the, emergency room or hospital, someplace to fix his ankle and check him out, make sure he was okay. And she came back, and Zach wanted to go sledding.
No, I thought it happened at the same time, Steve,
No,
but regardless. Yeah.
Josh was in the morning, and then you ended up, Zach goes down the hill, smashes in the tree, comes up and says, "Mom, I sprained my ankle," just like his older brother. It's like, oh, isn't that cute? He's just imitating his older brother.
And I said, Zach, you have no feeling in your feet. There's no way you know if you sprained your ankle. And you said, Mom, I really did. And some time went by. I don't know if it was an hour or 2 hours. And finally you said, Mom, look at my leg. And you pulled up the back of your leg, and it was all purple. And I went, oh my gosh.
So it's
So the
interesting.
ambulance went to the same place that his older brother had been in the morning.
I was the ambulance.
Oh, I was gonna say,
I could see-
call the ambulance.
I could see that puzzled look.
Mary Lou was the ambulance. She
Yeah.
knew exactly what to do because it was a repeat of the original event.
Yeah. The way I remember it was you weren't home. I guess I remember you not being home at all these stories. I don't know. You were at work. You were at work, and Mom, I remember you looking at my leg, but you didn't see anything wrong with it.
Oh, the front of it.
And then Dad got home and picked up the back of my leg and looked at the back, and it was all black and blue.
I only remember you saying, Mom, look at my leg, pulling up your leg so that I would look at the back. I don't know. Steve, do you have any clarification? I don't. Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah, I don't know. It's interesting how we get stories unaligned and all that. So.
I would make a horrible eyewitness.
Yeah, right. Okay, let's talk about a little bit later in my childhood. Talk to me about the story of me getting dumped out of my wheelchair.
Oh, I thought you were going to get into how you got into sports, but okay, when you were in high school, I had got a phone call from a mom that I didn't really know. I think I had heard of her name before, And she said, "You'll never believe what I saw at the high school." I said, "What? What happened?" And she said, "Somebody picked up your son in the wheelchair and dumped him out." And I said, "Yeah, exactly." I said, "Well, to me, that just shows that they don't see the wheelchair."
Yeah.
And I think the mom was just like, "What?"
Yeah. Yeah, they're treating me all the same. It was funny because we would do pranks
Oh,
like
yeah.
that, and like if there's a lot of people around, one of my friends would do something like that, and
Mhm.
it would be hysterical because everyone would react so strongly.
Oh, yeah.
Do you remember the mass media project or the media project that we did? We were supposed to do a comedy bit.
No.
So it was we were supposed to do a comedy bit. It could be whatever we wanted.
Mhm.
And we waited until after school hours. Most of the kids were gone. There was nobody in the hallways. And so we went up to teachers who were still in their rooms, and we were right outside the room. And I popped up, took both my wheels off at the same time, and slammed them on the ground. And I went, "Oh!" And a teacher would come out. A teacher would come out and freak out that I'd just fallen. And then the funniest part is I would instruct them on how to put my wheelchair back together, acting like I was like too hurt to do it.
Mhm.
They would help me up, and I would stand up and walk away from my wheelchair. And we actually got the whole project canceled because of there were so many teachers that we did that to, and one of them complained to our media teacher, and it was just completely scrapped. We never ended up showing it to anybody. So
But you've replayed it in your head a bunch of times.
oh yeah. We were pranksters back in high school. So talk to me about high school speech class.
Oh, no, I think you need to talk about that one.
I actually don't really remember that one.
Okay.
When you brought it up, I was like, huh, I don't have much recollection.
So in speech class, people usually like to choose topics that are controversial. And so this one girl got up and said, "Well, if you know that you have a baby in utero that is disabled, you should abort the baby."
Mm.
And so you went up after the speech to this girl and said, "So do you think my mom should have aborted me?" Because so often we go, "Yeah, abortion, women's rights," and it's like, wait a minute, let's put a face to this abortion,
Mm.
and it's like, should I have been aborted?
Mm.
So
Yeah.
I don't know. I wonder how that affected that girl. I don't know who she was,
Mm.
but
Yeah.
it's just puts real life situation in place.
Yeah, and it's interesting because I tell people, I have this conversation all the time with people of like, hey, I- I- am I suffering more than someone who had who grew up with a single mom who abused them, or who was a drug addict or something like that? And it's like, no, I think I have a pretty good life, and I'm super grateful for you guys and how you raised me and all that. So anyway, let's get into tennis and travel. So next, real quick time check. How long do you think we've been going? First of all, 2, Dad,
3.
3. Dad's about to fall asleep over here, guys. Okay, so
I'm the third best storyteller here, so that's
so without me telling you the time, I'll tell you the time. But how much longer do you think we have? How much longer can we go? Can we go another
15 minutes.
15 minutes? Okay.
Sure.
It's a long time.
How long has it been?
It's been 1 hour and 53 minutes.
Okay.
I knew it was 2 hours. I knew it.
Okay. Well, I'll start to wrap things up. So talk to me about no, don't do that.
Countdown 7.
No, Dad, stop. Okay, let's talk about tennis and travel.
I think you first need to say, when your first sport you started doing was wheelchair track.
Yeah.
And, you had to have a track chair. I've got a picture of it if you want me to show it. Or,
Yeah.
you want me to?
Let's. I'll
Okay.
put a short out there with some of these pictures.
Okay.
If not, I might if I have time put it over these videos. But okay, keep
But
going.
it
So
was
yeah,
funny you had been to some camps, disability camps, but most kids were a lot more disabled than you. So when you get into the sports world, it was more competition, and that's what you loved. And your your coach was in a wheelchair, and he rode a motorcycle
Mm,
with a sidecar because he
mm,
put his wheelchair in the sidecar. I mean, ingenious. But anyways, I thought that was pretty cool. But yeah, you got into track and did really well with it,
yeah.
and somebody said to me, "Well, why doesn't he try tennis?" And I looked at them, and I've always been like, "Sure, go for it." But it was like, really, in a wheelchair, got to
Yeah.
hold the racket and push, and so
Yeah.
yeah, it changed your life.
Yeah, tennis definitely changed my life, and then I got into basketball several years later, and um, so what I remember is Ashwin calling me up and saying, "Hey, there's a wheelchair tennis
Oh,
camp.
that
You
could
should
be.
go to it."
That could be. Yeah.
And then I was like, "How do you hold the racket and
Mhm.
push a chair?" And
Yep.
I think you and I had that conversation. I'm like, "I don't know, but
Yeah.
I want to try it."
Yeah. If it weren't for Margaret Ferris, I mean,
Yeah.
she was amazing.
Yeah. I actually just reached out to her. I think she might be coming on the podcast.
Oh,
So,
neat.
yeah. So anyway, but yeah, so then I got a little bit more serious with wheelchair tennis,
Mhm.
and
I remember Margaret saying she was talking to somebody in Indiana about you, and I'm like, "What do you mean?" She's like, "Zach's the up and coming player. Everybody knows who he is." And I'm like, "They do?"
mm,
So,
so talk to me about what it took for me to get to being one of the top athletes in the country.
well, Margaret had practice probably only twice a week.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. But, you tried out for middle school tennis, the able-bodied team.
Yeah,
And I could tell the coach wasn't real happy about that. So
yeah.
I decided I better go talk to her. So I went up and I said, "So, Charlotte, tell me something. If Zach is good enough to make the team," I made sure I said that, good enough to make the team. "How do you feel about Zach being on the team?" And she goes, "Well, I don't know how he'll get to the meets." I'm like, "Really?" So
Mhm.
yeah.
Just to make it more relatable, it's like somebody asking you, "How do you put your shoes on every morning?" It's like it's easy to to do that. So
Well, I said, "Well, how are the other kids getting there?" They had a school van in middle school that took you there.
yeah.
Yeah. And to your credit, Zach, you also played for the Arlington High School tennis team,
Yep.
which was always one of the tops in the state. So,
Mm,
you really held your own.
yeah. And
Yeah, but he got two bounces.
yeah. Yeah, and you play by USTA rules
Mhm.
and United States Tennis Association. That's the national tennis association that is over the high schools and all that. And the rules are in USTA. You get if you're in a wheelchair, you get two bounces,
Mhm.
and so I did.
Mhm.
And it's funny because if my doubles partner missed it on one bounce, I could still get it on two
Oh, yeah.
if they whiffed it.
Yeah. Well, I remember when you were a freshman, it was homecoming weekend, and you went to the Wheelchair US Open in San Diego that weekend.
Yeah.
And one of your friends said, "So, Zach, are you taking somebody to the dance?" And you said, "No, I'm going to go to this U.S. Open, tennis, wheelchair tennis." And I don't know if I should even say this.
Uh-oh.
He said, "Well, that's good because nobody'd go with you." And I
Oh.
remember you coming home, and instead of saying, "Oh, Zach, I'm so sorry he said that to you," I just looked at you and I said, "Can you imagine being such a jerk to say something like that to somebody?" I mean, who does that,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
So, to me, you have to look at it as how it really is, and not baby yourself and say, "Oh, poor me."
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Um, yeah, that's interesting. So talk to me about I think travel and stuff like that. So I was what 14, 13 when I started traveling
Yeah.
out of state
Well,
without you guys.
you went with Margaret.
Yeah.
Margaret spent her own money, and it was like, oh my goodness, she was such a godsend.
Dad, get off your phone.
Taking you to Florida
Seriously.
and going to tournaments and whatnot, and we took you to St. Louis and Atlanta and different places, so we got to see you compete as well. I obviously went to San Diego with you and saw you compete, and you would be down big time, like it would be 5-1 or something like that, and your opponent was winning, and you'd come back and win the set. And you did that time and time again, such tenacity. And so, yeah. And then you started traveling with the United States Tennis Association. You went to Europe, what, 5 times?
6 times.
6 times. USTA sponsored you, and, you went to Le Petit As, you went to, the World Team Cup, and, they'd send you a whole box full of clothing. It was just like the Olympics, you had your warm up and then your shorts and your hat, all that. So it was a pretty amazing thing that you got to experience. And you loved it because you loved talking Spanish to people
Yeah.
all around the world.
Yeah.
You loved getting immersed in the different languages. And I remember you being in Italy and you were in Florence, and I'm like, oh, Zach, when you're in Florence, you've got to look at the architecture. And I'm thinking, yeah, right. And you came home and you went, Mom, the
That's so
architecture
cool.
was so cool. And it's like, yes, you were able to notice the finer things in
Yeah.
Italy.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah, I saw Pisa and the Leaning Tower of Pisa. That was cool.
Yeah. Yeah.
In the surrounding area.
Yeah.
And you remember that trip to the Matterhorn?
Yeah. Yeah. Point that mic at you if you don't mind. No, point it at you. Stop that. Oh my gosh. It has been 2 hours. No, but
finish the trip to the Matterhorn. You decide you're going to save the fee, and
yeah,
and you're right there, and you said, I'm going to save the fee and not go to the Matterhorn.
this was my first trip to Europe.
It was?
Yeah, it was Switzerland. It was my first trip to Europe, and they were gonna go to the Matterhorn, take a trolley car up and all that, and it was gonna be like $200 or something like that, and that was a lot of money to me, and I was like, I gotta ask my parents if I can spend that money first, and of course the time zone, you guys, it was different, and I couldn't get a hold of you or something, and I opted out because I was concerned about spending that money, and you guys were like, Zach, what the heck, you should have gone. So anyway, what about, like, so you kind of freely, in my eyes, you kind of freely let me travel.
It's like me taking your mom out. You kept coming back.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, so you guys let me travel. Were there any concerns with that?
No.
Wow.
Never. Because you always had a chaperone. It was always the United States Tennis Association. You had Dan James and
Well, I didn't always, because, like, yes, when I got there, I'd have somebody, but like sometimes I traveled through the airport on my own, going through layovers and stuff like that.
Really?
Yeah.
So I remember when you were in France and they gave you those little aisle chairs and they wouldn't give you your wheelchairs back on a layover. And it's like, are you kidding me?
Well, so they flew us all to a specific city. And specifically going to Europe, maybe I didn't do layovers or anything like that on my own. But I think, the first flight was on my own because we're not all in the same city.
Oh, okay.
And then I had to find my way out and find everybody else and all.
And you
that
took
stuff.
your everyday chair and then you pushed your tennis chair with your tennis bag with all your rackets.
Yep.
And, so it was a lot that you had to push and carry. And
I loved riding escalators, and I went up an escalator. I started to go up an escalator
with 2 chairs.
No.
Oh.
So you like, I don't know, like, if I just checked it and then they just sent it on or something. But so I went up an escalator. I had a bag on my back, and one of the workers there was like, hey, you can't do that. And I kept going, and I got on the escalator, and the person's like, "Get down here." And I was like, yeah, I'm not doing that because I'm already on the escalator and I have to stay on these 2 steps in order to continue up this escalator.
Well,
So,
you learned that when you were doing wheelchair racing,
yeah.
because all the guys in the evenings would do that. And, I think that was one of the things I would stress is going to sports camps,
Yeah.
because you went up to the Michigan sport camp and, you know, you didn't have me there. I mean, I drove you up there and I went to my sister's while you were, at camp, but the independence and, talking to other people that are in chairs, it was just so helpful for you.
Yeah. Yeah. So anything else about wheelchair tennis, wheelchair sports that you want to share? Mom has a couple pictures that I might put on the channel. So,
Well, you mean that you came in #1 in the US and as a junior, and then you went to the World Team Cup and came in #2 after you had mono for a while. I picked you up from a St. Louis tournament that you had flown to, and for some reason we didn't go, and I picked you up and looked at you and I said, "We're going to the ER."
yeah.
And
I won the match that took me out of that tournament. I was beating the guy 5-0, and then he came back and won 7-5
at St. Louis?
and beat me the second set 6-0.
Oh,
And I
yeah.
was just dead.
Yeah.
And then I remember flying, and the flight attendant, because of my face, as we were taking off, the flight attendant came over and was like, "Hey, do you want a barf bag?" Because I was literally like, "Oh man, my sinuses and going up and that pressure change was like brutal."
Yeah.
So, yeah, uh, there's something I thought about telling you, but I'm gonna skip that for now. On the podcast, that is. ADHD. What do you think affected me more, ADHD or spina bifida?
Hands down ADHD. What do you think, Steve?
You're the only guy I know that could look at a wall for an hour and not be bothered by it.
Can you tilt that down? Point it at you. Tilt
Yeah.
it down.
Yeah.
What do you mean by
There you
that?
go.
What do you
Good.
mean by that?
He'd go to do his homework and he'd sit behind
Oh.
a desk and look at a wall for an hour and he would do nothing. It's like, how can you do nothing? This is incredible.
Yeah.
Oh, it's easy, Dad. I could do nothing anytime. It's one of my talents.
You had a high school teacher, I think biology, that was dinging you for the little things. And I finally said, look, you either follow Zach's IEP or you call an IEP meeting and get his IEP changed to make it tailored to how you think Zach should be operating.
Yeah.
And after that, he was great.
Yeah. Oh wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And then there was that senior math class, that you took as a junior so you could go on to calculus. And that teacher was really berating to the kids because the kids were really in there just to get another math credit, but you were in there to gain more understanding. And so I had a meeting with him and I said, let me tell you something. My son loves math, but you're making him hate it because you cut everybody in this class down because they don't understand like you understand. I said, he wants to go on to calculus. And, we just felt like he needed an extra year of math before he did that. And after that, you guys became best friends.
Yeah. Yeah.
So sometimes you just need to stand up to the teachers. I mean, respectfully.
That's interesting. I think I agree that the ADHD impacted me more than spina bifida. I think one of the really interesting things that it wasn't, and I don't want to name this work location, but the retail store that I worked at, it wasn't until I got there that I started. So I think I blurred the lines between, oh, this is ADHD, and I am not taking enough personal accountability, if that makes any sense.
Sure. Yeah.
And so I for the longest time I let ADHD define me. And it wasn't until I started to get external accountability from that retail store, I think, that I really I really started to take accountability and be like, whoa. And it might have also been just I'm older, I'm more mature, all that. So
I love this story.
They taught you how to show up on time and not be late and
yeah.
and be responsible. And I remember this story when you broke your arm. You've got a one-handed wheelchair operator who's got 2 feet that don't work, and you're pushing yourself around, pushing from one side to the other side, and the manager comes over and goes, "This place is a mess.
Yeah.
You need to clean this all up."
Mhm.
You're working with one arm.
But you know, as much as this person might have been a jerk, it's also cool that he treated me like everybody else, right? Like
No, I'm sorry. If I had a broken arm and I were
closer.
able-bodied, I'd still expect
Pull it.
I did.
There you go. Yeah, keep
I would expect a boss to give you special considerations
Yeah.
because you had something wrong.
You
Yeah.
got one arm.
Yeah.
A one-arm wheelchair guy is by itself is pretty amazing,
Right.
but to actually do something in addition to that,
Yeah.
it's ridiculous.
Yeah. Can we get into like 2 other kind of stories, but before we end?
Okay.
So the first one is rapid fire.
That's not a story.
No, I'm just
You
kidding.
set me up.
I know.
I hate rapid fire.
Yeah, she wants me to remove the segment. If you think I should remove the segment or keep it in, let me know.
Let's vote, Dad. Who wants to remove it? Oh, outnumbered, Zach.
No. I deleted it for you guys. I'm not doing that to you. So I was offered a full-time job at this retail store.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't want to take it.
Mm-hmm.
Can you get into me coming to you and telling you my thought process around that?
Well, was it because you didn't want to work, you mean?
No.
But was it because of Social Security income?
Yes.
Okay. So when Zach turned 18, this check magically appeared.
Big check for a high school kid.
Yeah. Yeah. And I told Zach
I'll tilt it up.
I told Zach he needed to get a job. And some people might not agree with my philosophy on this, Zach. You guys need to pay attention to me.
Dad, just tilt it up.
So, anyways, Zach said, I don't know, he wasn't going to get a job or something like that. And I because for every dollar that he earned, they'd take it away out of his social security income, which is called SSI. I said, Zach, they're taking away something much, much more from you. It's your self-esteem and your ability to work and your drive. And it's like, and not only that, but nobody can really exist on such a meager check for a living. You're living at home. That's different. But, so I told you that if you didn't get a job, I was going to put all your clothes out on the porch and you were going to have to figure out how to live.
Mm-hmm.
And guess what? You got a job.
Yeah. Yeah, I did get a job, and I actually believed them when they said that. So
I believed them too.
yeah.
But the other, I don't know if I should tell the other side of it.
I am concerned.
No,
it's public, so please be careful.
Oh, I like the idea. So Zach applied to be a pizza delivery guy.
Did I?
Yes, you did. And I'm like, Zach, now I don't restrict you very often, but it's like, what are you going to do when you have 10 pizzas to carry up a flight of steps at an apartment? And, and it's just like, no, I don't think that was a good idea. But you went, can I say the name of the establishment that you applied for the job and had to take the math test?
It was a fast food restaurant.
I know. So they had him take the math test, and the manager said, wow, we've never had anybody score so high in math. And, we'd love to hire you, but you're in a wheelchair. And, and I agree with him to an extent, that a wheelchair behind the counter and all that, it gets pretty tight back there. But he said, so I can't hire you. So this guy.
But real quick, the math test
Yeah.
was something like there's 6 slices of pizza and you remove 3. How many are
Oh,
left?
come on.
No, it was easy.
I don't think I ever heard that.
I don't remember exactly what it was, but like, yeah, it was a very easy math test of
So
like,
sitting in that fast food was the manager at where you got your next job, and he came up and gave you his card and said, "Come see me here. You've got a job there."
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So
So what's fascinating though is I was probably talking to the fast food manager for probably an hour.
oh,
And because I was understanding of his concern about me being in a
sure.
wheelchair.
Of course you were.
And so I was trying to brainstorm with him other
Oh.
ways, like getting a narrow stool,
Mhm.
working with like standing and then sitting, like taking a
Mhm.
break or
Mhm.
doing something in the back or something like that. Like I was trying to think of all these different ways, and you know there was, I guess, trash cleanup too, and I was talking to him about possibly doing that, and so like I talked to him for a long time, and the supervisor at the store, at this retail store, waited. He heard this conversation that I was having with him, and then he caught up to me after the conversation and was like, "Hey, I want you on my team.
Mhm.
I want you to apply to this retail store."
Mhm.
And you know, sure enough, I'm very grateful for the retail store because I still carry a lot of the
Mhm.
lessons that I learned today,
Mhm.
that I learned back then. So,
Yeah. It's awesome.
cool. I think we pretty much covered most of the
Yay.
stuff that we wanted to talk about. Is there anything? Well, is there anything that you guys want that you think we missed that you want to make sure that you tell everybody, or
Well, yeah, I want to say that you are the nieces and nephews' favorite uncle
ouch,
because,
Josh and Mike, what's
well,
going on, bros?
because they love having rides on your shoulders and on the back of your wheelchair, and you pay attention to them, and you really interact with them. So that's great, Zach.
You won't answer who's your favorite kid, but you'll answer who your grandkid's favorite uncle is.
I think if all your siblings voted on it, they'd all vote on you.
Really?
Oh, heck yeah.
Oh, wow. I wouldn't have guessed that, honestly. Like I have fun with them, of course. And it's funny, they climb up on my wheelchair, and
Mhm.
there's a bar in the back of my wheelchair that they climb up on, and they get rides, and sometimes I'll have a kid or two standing back there when they were younger and less heavy, and 2 on my lap, and
Yep.
we'd go around. So
Yep.
yeah, it was fun. It's fun hanging out with them. So.
Yeah, and when Ellie was little, she got a Barbie with a wheelchair.
No way.
Oh yeah, and then they had crutches, and they had I don't know, a cast that you could put on the Barbie.
Oh.
Yeah, her Barbie did all that stuff
Huh.
because of you.
Cool.
Yeah.
Okay. Interesting.
Yeah.
Anything else you wanna bring up?
I think we've exhausted ourselves.
You do? Huh.
Yeah, I
Dad?
do.
Certainly man of many words wants to say something else.
I ain't no dealer in rhetoric.
Oh, whatever.
Okay. Well, so one like two, 3 closing questions. These are gonna be quick.
Wait. We heard 2 or 3, 10
No,
minutes ago.
those are topics. These are just questions. The only thing that I just closing questions is what's one thing you hope guests get out of us talking together today?
To be positive.
Jesus.
Yep.
Jesus.
Yep. Yeah, that's true. That if you can walk through something like that with Jesus, it's like it gives you such comfort.
Mm-hmm. You were talking about positivity as well.
Mm-hmm.
What elaborate?
Well, I mean, it's Zach, you're very fortunate. You can stand a little bit.
Yeah.
You can walk a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of kids are more disabled than you are. So,
Yeah.
but from your stand, your people always say to me, "Oh, you have a disabled child. Does he live with you?" And I'm like, "Are you kidding? I would have killed him by now." So I'm very thankful that you're independent, Zach.
Yeah. I am very grateful I'm independent and still alive as a result.
Well, I loved one of your housemates that after you bought a house, when we came down, he started telling me some things that needed fixed. And I looked at him, I said, why are you telling me this?
Yeah.
Well, he thought, I guess, that we had bought you this house or something, but you did it all on your own merits. So
yeah, interesting. Do you want anybody to try to find you on social media?
no,
Okay.
I don't really, people do friend requests. I don't go there anymore.
Yeah.
It's just like, whoever I have, that's it. That's enough for me.
I usually offer it up, and a lot of people have
thank you.
public social media accounts that they want people to follow. So
I do check in on the Spina Bifida website every once in a while because I feel like I can offer some bits of wisdom there when people are asking questions. So
if I was going to make a recommendation, it'd be to go to the Creation Museum down in Cincinnati.
Yeah.
And the Ark Encounter, not far away. It's the two largest drawing Christian the places to go.
Yeah.
And it's right here in Cincinnati.
Yeah, it's actually I went with you guys a couple weeks ago. It's actually really interesting. I think whether you're Christian or not, it's still fascinating thing to go see. It's like a giant coliseum or something like that you're just going into and going, whoa. And so it's super cool. So anyway, I guess the last thing is I just want to thank you both. You guys drove an hour 45 minutes to come down here and do a live podcast with me, and it's been a blast. I really loved hearing your perspectives on everything, even if we did disagree from time to time on how the story went down. But
stories, yeah.
So did anything surprise you about what we said?
Did anything surprise you? I mean, there's just some random accounts of stories, like the story about Charlotte, about the coach, the middle school coach. I remember her saying that to me, and maybe I'm just completely remembering that incorrectly, or maybe she had that conversation with both of us. So, I'm not sure. So, but yeah, and then again, the fridge, the magnet on the fridge is how I always said the story, and it was not a fridge; it was a furnace. And
yeah.
Regardless, small details and
but our philosophy on child rearing and raising a child that's disabled and that kind of stuff, none of that surprised you, right?
No, I think you kind of instilled all that into me from the beginning. And honestly, I think another thing that I was going to say earlier was something like I value being unique. Because of you pulling me from not hiding behind that, but behind you, and when that kid was like staring at me and stuff like that, and so I value that, and I think, I don't know, yeah, people like fitting in, but it's also fun to stick out, I guess, let's say. So. But yeah, it's been a blast. I'm very curious to get the family members' perspective on what they heard, and
you'll do anything to get them to watch your podcast, right?
Yeah, right. I'll even invite them on my podcast if they want to. So no, but yeah, thank you guys for coming on. Is there final words, and then we can
Bye.
We can call it. Yeah.
Bye.
All right.
Final word.
All right, everybody, thank you for joining us on the Rolling Forward podcast. If you liked what you heard, hit that like button, subscribe, and leave a comment. Also, I have a t-shirt store. I'm wearing a leg day t-shirt. I didn't get this one's not on my store. I did get this one on Amazon, but the theme of my store is similar to this. It says leg day. I'm in a wheelchair. It's kind of funny. And you can get that on rollingforward.printful.me. And if you have a story worth sharing that fits the theme of what we're doing here today, send me a note. You might even be my next guest. Until next time, keep rolling forward. Say bye, everyone.
Bye, everyone.